Keep those applause going for Georgie!
It's October in Ithaca, upstate New York, and it's getting a little cold outside. I'm 24 years old, and I'm standing across from the first guy I ever fell in love with, having not seen him in about 2 years. And we're standing right outside the old Mexican restaurant where we first met. It was actually where we used to work together. It was where he first asked me out. It was where I would catch him staring at me while making nachos. And it was really where Nate and I fell in love. I was back in town for an impromptu college reunion with some of my good friends, and I had tracked Nate down for a very specific reason. And I felt my window of opportunity closing, so before the moment was gone entirely, I said it. I think that we should have sex, because I've still never done that. And I told everybody in there, my friends and stuff, that I think you should be the person that I do that with. What you guys need to know about me is that growing up, I was always kind of a huge prude, a late bloomer, if you will. I made it to college with my first kiss under my belt and virtually nothing else. I went to 4 proms. I blue-balled all 4 of my prom dates. So yeah, I was a virgin for a long, long time. And in this moment, I am a 24-year-old virgin standing across from my first love, asking him if he wants to change all that. And virginity had always kind of meant something weird but very important to me. I had heard somewhere from someone that when a girl loses her virginity, she becomes sort of emotionally, biologically attached to the person she loses it to. She can't help it. It's not her fault. It's like this hormonal, sort of almost unhealthy obsession with the guy that she takes that leap with. And like, that was a lot of pressure to put on like your first time. And the longer that I held on to my virginity, the more it felt like, whoa, this bond can't like go to waste, you know what I mean? And I was so sure that my prudishness would present a problem when my senior year of college, during my last semester, I fell in love for the first time. And falling in love with Nate kind of took me by surprise. I didn't really expect it. He wasn't what I expected. He and I were the same age, but he didn't really have plans to go to college. He wanted to be a world-famous DJ, which was very hard for me to laugh at because I wanted to be an actress. And he spent what little money he had partying at music festivals out of state and drinking beers after work. And it was hard for me to sort of decipher what his true intentions were in life. And maybe he didn't know either. You know, we were young, but he was sensitive and he adored me. And he told me things that men had never told me before. He said that I was perfect. One time he said that he was convinced that I was an angel who had been sent from heaven to bless everyone with my presence. Yeah, well, he texted it to me, but it was still romantic, still nice. And for reasons that I am not proud of, I never called Nate my boyfriend. We never said, I love you. The ugly truth about me wasn't actually so much that I was a prude, it was that I was kind of elitist. I came from this really privileged background that made me judgmental about who he was. So I decided not to take that bonding leap with him. And though we never had sex, we spent 6 blissful months together, and then our time was up. I graduated, and I had long been planning to move to Los Angeles to pursue my dreams, and Nate offered to come with me, and I said no. And I left, heartbroken. And in LA, a lot of guys filtered in and out of my life, but none of them felt right. None of them thought that I was an angel sent to bless them. So I took up crying in my spare time. I cried all the time. I cried in my car, in bed, in my shower. For 2 years, I could not get over Nate, and he did. I mean, at least it felt that way. I expected a lot of drunk moments of weakness from Nate. I expected a lot of 3 a.m. text messages being like, I miss you, I miss us. But like that never happened. Those never came. And the longer that went on, the crazier I felt. I felt confused because even though he never said it, I felt sure that Nate loved me. And love, to me, meant obviously the Titanic or like the Notebook kind of stuff, you know, grand gestures. And I thought maybe one day he'd come to my job with a bouquet and like a speech about how we needed to be together, and I would take him back, and it was immature, those fantasies. I guess I was a late bloomer in a lot of respects. But when this opportunity to come back to Ithaca came up, I decided to make my own grand gesture, and I decided to ask Nate to take my virginity, because guess what? Hormonally, I was hanging on. Like, we had that connection. And back outside in the cold, standing across from him, I can tell he doesn't really know what to say. He looks touched and embarrassed and excited and confused and almost everything he'd ever made me feel when we were together. I tell him just not to give me an answer. Get in touch with me when you've had some time to think about it. And we said goodbye, and I went back inside to that old Mexican restaurant, and I joined my friends, and I picked up my margarita where I had left it, and I felt wildly happy. And it didn't take long for the text messages to start to roll in. The first few were exclamations of disbelief. He was like, I have so many thoughts, so many feelings. And then I got one really long message. He said he couldn't sleep with me. He said he couldn't sleep with me even though he wanted to, with every fiber of his being. He explained that it was actually the birthday of this girl named Laurel who was in his life as more than a friend. She's not exactly my girlfriend, but then again, neither were you. And he hoped I'd understand that. He explained that they weren't even really exclusive, but sleeping with me was something he couldn't really do to her on her birthday, and he hoped I'd understand that too. And I felt really stupid. And I said, yeah, of course I understand. You're doing the right thing, even though everything I thought I understood about love was crumbling. And on the flight back to Los Angeles, I got a text from him saying that he would regret his decision till the day he died. And I decided no more crying. I allowed some more men to enter my life. I eventually did lose my virginity a few months later. I was 24, now I'm 25, seasoned expert. That experience was nice, but I think given everything that it meant to me, Nate is always going to be my virginity story. Thank you.